Any roll call shows elements? Okay, agenda additions and deletions?
I have 3 tonight. First one we'll add is 9.5. Resignation from Eric House. 9.6. Elementary hire Lori Lalong. And 10.10. Professional services agreement with the Subbies.
Okay, visitor input. Anyone who has signed up ahead?
I had one, Polly Sorkin.
Okay, Paul?
I have nothing at this time.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, approve the agenda. Need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
I'll move we approve the agenda as amended.
Motion 40,
Support.
second by Gentilini. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Business Office Affairs, 8.0. 8.1, approve the Treasurer's Report for the second check writing in July and the month of July and the first check writing in August.
Approve the minutes.
7-0.
I'm sorry. I already checked it off. Approve the minutes for Wednesday, July 20th.
So moved.
Motion, Sean Log.
Second.
Second by 40. Any discussion or changes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain, I was not here.
Okay. Moving on, now we'll go to 8.0. 8.1, approve Treasurer's Report for the second writing in July, the month of July, and the first check writing in August.
On 8.1A, that is inside of 8.1.B, so I'm just going to read 8.1B and C. 8.1B for July is receipts of $1,353,236.84. Disbursements of $320,038.82. Payroll of $527,825. On C is the first part of August. B was for the whole month of July. C for the first part of August is disbursements of $219,124.45. I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Okay. Support. And support by Gentilini. Thank you. Any other additions, discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Nine personnel. 9.1, approve the 1.0 FTE principal assignment of Todd. Help me on this, Todd. Grippentag? Okay, just the way it sounds. Then. Okay, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Motion by Sean Lobb, support by Putzel. Any discussion?
I was just going to ask, I mean, I didn't get a chance to look at the contract, but is this typically the salary level that we've been hiring for the junior high?
I don't know what typical means. I mean, there is no
It was
guidelines.
always
There's no guidelines written.
first, second, and third tier or something?
It's been, if you look historically, I mean, it's been different. I mean, there was supposedly an unspoken rule before I got here, but I don't really follow. And based on the experience, I think somebody with no experience would probably come in at a 4.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome.
Thank
9.2, approve the 2016-2017 fall coaching assignments.
All the ones that before you are volunteers. We still have some potential for openings and various assistants or junior high, depending on numbers. Season starts on the 15th, and we will have some positive numbers by then. Most of the junior high seasons don't start till the following week, so by the time we have the next board meeting, we should have solid numbers in front of you, and we know that if we need to, we're going to hire anyone else.
Okay, for those of you in the public who don't have a list in front of you, it's girls tennis, Brian Maxwell, Brian Stark, and Al Lagrano. Cross country is Alan Holly, Jim Polisic, and Alyssa Olson. So I need a motion and a second to approve the coaching assignments.
So moved.
Motion Sean Love,
Support.
support by Ken Laney. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9.3, approve the 1.0 FTE special education teaching assignment of Jamie Freiheit?
Yep.
Okay.
Jamie comes to us with 24 years of experience and requested to be up on the salary schedule, and special ed teachers are not easy to come by, so there you go.
Okay, need a motion and a second.
I'll move.
Motion by Peterson,
Support.
support by Putzel. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9.5.
Four.
Sorry, 9.4. 2016-17 teaching assignments.
These are the assignments as we know them today. There is, you'll notice there's a few opens on there yet. I will get to later in the report on the staffing. I think we're getting closer to a conclusion on some of those, but yeah, I mean, that's what it is today.
Okay. Need a motion and a second to accept these. Motion by Putzel,
Support.
support by Sean Lobb. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Excuse me. 9.5 is resignation of Aaron Cause. Is it Cause? Okay. What's your pleasure?
I just want to say a brief statement here, and I want to start by saying thank you for the
No,
opportunity.
we don't have anybody step up after you have to be on visitor input.
All right, I'm sorry, I was told this was the time to do so.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Thank
Okay.
you
There,
for
sorry.
the opportunity to speak. I'm here today to provide the Board of Education more information about why I'd like to be released from my employment contract at Evelyn Gilbert. I understand that this is not the most convenient of times to be asked for a contract release, but would appreciate if you could listen to my reasoning. First, at the end of the past school year, I talked with Principal Hake and told him while I've truly enjoyed working with the staff, students, and community of Evelyn Gilbert, that I may look for teaching positions in the Twin Cities that would offer me the opportunity to further grow as a teacher. He was understanding and supported me in this endeavor. In doing so, I applied for and was offered a teaching position with a school that I believe is a better fit for where I currently stand as a young teacher with 1 year of experience. As a school, this offered teaching position will provide me with the ability to develop and expand my teaching style so that I can better engage students who need further enrichment in science class by providing both a gifted and talented program and an avid program for students. Likewise, this teaching position allows me to use my teaching certifications in both middle-level science and mathematics to its fullest extent by allowing me to teach both general science classes and remedial assistance in mathematics during their student success period. Third, the offered teaching position will give me more access to further collaboration with more experienced teachers who work full-time at the same school and teach the same subject matter at the same grade level. Lastly, the location of this teaching position will strengthen my support system by placing me close to family and friends. With that being said, I respect your decision whether you accept or deny my request, and I want you to know that regardless of the outcome, I will always do my best because it is what the students deserve. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. What's the board's decision? What do they want to do?
I just would say that, I mean, this puts us in a rather precarious position. 3 weeks left till school starts. I mean, I'm not saying anything is impossible. I mean, I got George Harridan to come out of retirement today, for God's sakes. I mean, anything's possible, but it's going to be a struggle.
Must be walking on water.
Yeah.
I thought George was done. He's 70. 70 years young.
Mr. Chair, can we have a conversation about this without
Yep.
a motion?
Yes.
Thank you. May I, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was starting to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mona beat me to it.
Well, I was just going to say, my concern with this is that we do have a contract in place, and this teacher is under contract. And it clearly states that you don't resign after July 1. Now, I understand that other things came along. When you're grown up, a lot of things come along, and you can't just get up and go and do what you'd like to do. There's a certain obligation once you're contractually obligated to someone. The teachers and our other staff that are contractual have never hesitated to hold us accountable for the language in the contract. And I think if we permit this too easily, it opens the door to allow others to just think they can get up and go. And I think there needs to be repercussion for leaving. And that is allowed for in the contract also.
Mark?
Well, my question was going to be, what situation are we going to be in with 3 weeks to go? What are our chances of finding a replacement?
Like I said, I mean, you never know when someone's going to stop up on your doorstep, but realistically, it's not very good. I mean, there are not a lot of science teachers on the open market right now. I know others in the area have struggled to fill those positions.
So it could be starting out the year without a science teacher. Bottom line.
It's possible, yeah. But it's possible that I might post it tomorrow and someone applies. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
If I may ask, what happens if we deny the resignation? And, I mean, what do we have the force, or, you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're saying.
I mean, if she wants to move to the cities, I mean, for lack of better, to engage more conversation, she's going to do it regardless. I mean, and we're still out a science teacher
And
on
then
both
we-
sides of this, but I understand Mona's premise
And then
that,
we notify the board, and it
Right.
gets recorded against her license, that she walks
And-
away.
and I understand that, but it still doesn't solve our problem. But I understand
No, it
to your
doesn't,
point
but I
that
think,
It won't solve our problem.
but I also think there's a point at which we need to, again, we're always held to the highest standard regarding the
Oh.
contract, which is appropriate, but then I think we need to hold the other side of the contract just as accountable.
I absolutely agree. I think,
And I understand anybody can get up and walk away. I totally get that, but I don't think it should be without some repercussion.
I mean, the muddied water here is that there was reference that there was a conversation with an administrator that is no longer here either. I mean,
Well, there's a lot of things that should have happened.
and that's what makes this position, you know, I mean, to what extent was that conversation, does it matter? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's
It has
why,
nothing to do with it,
Oh,
because the
absolutely.
contract still says July 1.
I agree with you. I mean, but the whole fact is people get promised things that are outside the contract, and a lot of times too, and that's what gets the muddy all the time. I mean, I guess at my stage of this, I would just assume we take no action. What does that mean? It's neither denied or accepted, is it?
Right. I guess I don't,
I think we would have to deny her request, if that's what you want.
I don't
Indeed-
know, I kind
indeed.
of see Mike's point. She's already under contract.
She is under contract.
This is a request, we don't have to make them, we don't have to do anything. I mean, this was our training 101, I mean, just because it's an agenda item, I mean that we don't have to table it, we don't have to postpone, we don't have to just take no action. I mean, I guess it's the same, but it means something different, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it.
And it does put us in a position that we don't know if we're going to have to find a teacher or not.
Well, I think we're going to have to regardless, but
Yeah.
that's,
Right.
but it's how we do
Well,
this.
if we allow it, we're setting a bad precedent, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And that's, I understand being closer to family and that, and it
As
makes
do
perfect
I.
sense to me.
As
but
do I, but again, you know.
Contractually, when you're,
But that date has come and gone, and,
Mhm.
but I certainly see your point,
Nice.
we just simply don't take any action, and it's already a contractual issue, and I don't know.
I think that we can do it as taking no action.
Well, I think the chair just asks if there's a motion, and if there's no motion.
There's no
we-
motion.
There's no motion to entertain, we go on to the next agenda item.
Okay, is there a motion? Is there a motion? Is there a motion, third time? No motion. Okay. Sorry, Aaron. It's denied. Okay, moving on, 9.6, contract for Lori Lalonde.
this is gonna be for 6th grade position, in the Nelshin.
Okay, we need a motion and a second to accept.
So moved.
Motion Putzel.
I'll second.
Second by 40. Any other discussion? And hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business, 10.1, approve the first reading of the following policy revisions. 709 for student transportation safety, 802 disposition of obsolete equipment and material, and 806 is crisis management. It's the first reading, so we can take them all at one time.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add to that, Jeff?
All three of these are policies that we currently have. They're just updated by the MSBA since the last time they were passed.
Okay. We need a motion and a second.
So moved?
Motion by Shanlab,
I'll support.
support by Putzel. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.2, approve the memorandum of understanding with Ed, Minnesota.
This is related to the retirement of Mary Hajdukowicz, cleaning this up with the union. So it expires after the contract, and Mary is the only one that's eligible to take advantage of that.
So what we do is, she's under contract and keeps working until October.
Should be done on October
Should be
2nd.
done on October 2nd. Meanwhile, do we already have somebody in place for this, or?
Yes.
We will have. Okay. And who would that be?
There's going to be some internal movement to fill.
Oh,
Someone
okay.
wanted it, some internal wanted to go to kindergarten,
Okay.
and we hired Keely Hannon earlier this year to go to
Okay.
first grade, so we Kim Wallner.
Okay. Okay. We need a motion and a second for the MOU.
I'll move we approve the memorandum of understanding as presented.
Motion by 40.
Support.
Support by Shanlov. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I oppose.
One opposed. 10.3, discussion on the Hippodrome lease.
There's a few pieces of paper in front of you. One is from Director Forty, put together the spreadsheet. On usage, there's also a sheet from Mr. Homola about rec program participants. We had a committee meeting last week regarding the increases that the city is requesting for the HIP lease. They're asking for 4 years, $2,500 each year. They're also asking for some overtime shared expenses for holiday tournaments or ice skating. Figure skating, was it? Figure skating. And they also want our participation in a conversation about facility upgrades.
Well, starting off, we have been generously giving them $2,500 a year increase for how many years? It's almost like it's a sacred cow that nobody else can touch but Evelyn for the Hippodrome. I'm not in agreement with the $2,500 a year automatic. And as far as the overtime, or half the cost of overtime for the city, for the staff, we don't have tournaments down there. I guess that's a moot point if we never use it. And as far as the base fee of 400 hours plus anything over that is $100 an hour, from the records that I've seen, we've only done it once in, what was it? How many
4 years ago, we
4
got
years
to
ago.
413 hours. We've been
Yeah.
under it since.
And that was exceptional. I don't know how I just want to see how the rest of the board feels, but that's the way I feel. I mean, and then they want us to go into discussions on replacing multiple things in the arena. There's the arena dehumidifier, the Zamboni. They wanted a Zamboni addition. They want to replace the rubber flooring in the lobby, the arena roof insulation, restroom remodeling. Some people seem to forget that just a few years ago, when Mike Lang was here, we voted as an entire district for a $300 and some thousand addition there, and that was spread out throughout the entire school district, not just Evelyn. And they seem to forget that. This will probably go, but this is my feeling on this, because I think it's just going too much. That's my opinion. I want somebody else to step up and say their opinion.
I mean, are we in negotiation, or are we just passing what we think is in front of us? I guess that would be my first question. If we're in a true negotiation, I mean,
Yeah.
should we still be having this conversation on a committee level instead of a regular board meeting?
Well, we
Or
did,
is
but it got sidetracked onto different things that shouldn't have
Well,
been.
we asked about information, and
Yeah,
we got that.
we got it.
I mean, to Keith's point, I mean, we're at, per the city of Evelyn numbers, 300 hours a year. We keep going down every year with our usage, but our lease keeps going up. Another example of here we are, our enrollment numbers have been going down for 30 years, but all of our expenses keep going up. Same situation here, our usage is going down, but our expense keeps going up. When does it stop? I mean, are we even in a negotiation? Are we just arguing to pass it or not pass it? I mean, if our lease is based on 400 hours, I think if we're only using 300, maybe we need to restructure our lease proportionally to the hours that we use. We're paying for 400 hours as a base, and we're only using 300 of it. I mean, are we overpaying per se?
I don't know. I feel we are.
That's my point. I mean,
Well, the numbers that we got from the city don't even match the numbers that we got on the spreadsheet.
well, that's the other point too. We have almost 270 hours here on the spreadsheet from Director Forty and 299 from the city of Evelyn. I mean, if we're getting charged per hour That's a big discrepancy. That's three.
We're not being charged per hour on the lease. It's a flat
Oh, I
fee.
understand.
We have up to the 400 hours. But the difference in the hours is the spreadsheet that I put together is strictly taking the weekly schedule for ice time at the hip from, middle of October through the end of February during the last winter. And that only includes schedule time. Now, with the city hours, the 299, I would guess that that includes some summer usage outside of the hockey time, outside of the ice time. That's why the schedule is less than what the city has. Okay, so it is used, for instance, baseball and softball practice in the early spring when the teams can't get outside. They're down in the hippodrome, throwing balls, hitting balls, whatever. How many hours that amounts to, I don't know, because I have not seen a schedule. That time is not scheduled as such. So there is going to be some difference. But 270 hours on the weekly schedule versus the 299, again, I'm thinking the difference is some summer usage that comes in.
But it's still nowhere near 400.
It's not near the 400.
But to my point during the committee is, we as the district that are scheduling the hours don't appear to be keeping track of the hours we're scheduling. So even if the city charged just $299, I mean, it's not a director on the school board's responsibility to be reconciling those hours that we may be billed, if that makes sense. I mean, if our athletic director or athletic department is scheduling these hours, I mean, we should be recording those numbers in the event we get billed someday so we can reconcile that. I mean, we have two disparities here that there's no justification for at face value. I mean, and that's just kind of muddy in the waters, but the point is, we're not using it to the extent of what the lease flat fee is based on. And, 25% less of a charge on $50,000 is a substantial savings, if that's how you want to look at it. I mean, or maybe the hippodrome is getting too expensive for us to participate in, and we need to try to find other avenues to continue. I mean, I would be interested in ticket sales. I mean, how many people go watch these games every year in the last 10 years? I mean, is there community support for these programs that we keep increasing expenses on? That's would be, when I was in high school, I mean, I didn't play hockey or football at high school level, but we would go watch them because they were social events and we would support the team. Are those numbers still there in the last 20 years? But we keep paying more for the sports, but there's less participation. And we're cooperating with our neighbor in hockey. Is that a reason because we don't have the numbers, or is it because they don't have the numbers and they want to? I mean, these are conversations I think we need to have about all of these.
Yeah, I think we have to throw that part of it back to an athletic meeting. That's where that one should be.
I mean, and if we're participating with Mesabi East, I hear we do ice time in Hoyt Lakes. I mean, what's the situation there? Do we get charged ice time for using the Hoyt Lakes arena? Or what's that schedule? What's that agreement? I've heard we don't. They do it as an in-kind service. But I mean, like I said, what I hear and what are true on paper are two different things. And I think these are the things that we need to have instead of just keep throwing money at.
Do you want to kick this back to the building and grounds? Is that what it is? Yeah, building and grounds for the lease, so we can discuss it more.
I think we need to dig into this more. I mean, that's my personal opinion, I guess, but everybody else is to their point.
Anyone else?
Well, I know the city's been frustrated for quite a while with the cost of maintaining that building. And I brought it up before. I think, there's groups that use it and don't pay the level that we do. Perhaps that's one way for them to balance out their costs on that building, is to make everyone, whatever that per hour fee turns out to be. I mean, for example, this year it's $137.50 an hour. By that logic, if we only use it 300 hours, we wouldn't pay more than about $40,000. I don't, we've heard all kinds of numbers of what it costs them to maintain it. That's really not our concern. We're only renters. but it might be reasonable to suggest that some of that cost be absorbed by some of the other uses.
Yeah.
I think it needs to go back to committee if there's still questions.
So what do you need next? I mean, you want them to come here? You want some different information?
I think we need to meet with them rather than just be passing paper back and forth through you. I think we should set up a meeting with their committee and go through this, because I'm not happy with it.
My only hesitation is we've been down this road before where we've attempted to meet with them, and
It doesn't.
you know, to their credit, they've made a determination what they need to maintain the building, and they've stuck to their guns that that number is firm. And I understand that. I don't know how we'll get them off of that point. I don't know that we can offer anything that makes that a reasonable exchange. I don't know.
Well, to my point, we have to, I mean, I think internally we have to justify the expense. And I don't know if we are
And maybe find a solution outside of.
Well, and maybe that's part of the conversation, but I mean, we're talking about a 4-year extension that's just verbatim, and I mean, we have numbers that the city is supplying us with hours. We have this year's participation numbers internally. I mean, I think we need a little bit of history to say, you know, was it 50 kids 10 years ago and it's been slowly declining, or has it been maintaining? I mean, if it's been maintaining, maybe it's ticket sales are another thing. I mean, this is a community, basically, program, for lack of a better way to look at it. You know, I mean, when anything happens with extracurriculars, it's the community that comes in and kicks back. Well, how big of a community support is there? I mean, let's look at historical ticket sales. And I know hockey's a hot and tub subject and stuff, and you know, they're gonna get them 5, 6, 7, 8 hockey moms that are gonna be up here screaming, but just because they're the loudest doesn't mean that there's a lot of them behind there. I mean, look at, we said no to the scoreboard at the football field because we didn't have it in our budget. The community made that happen. They took that and they ran with it, and they got a scoreboard. They raised the money.
They did a good job.
Right, to their credit. You know, we didn't have the funds to do that. And I've already heard on this situation in the last week that, you know what, the football got a scoreboard, so we need to do this. I said, we didn't do the scoreboard, the community did. I think at the very least, we should use that same verbatim for the hockey program and say, you know what, we didn't have the money for the scoreboard, we don't have.
I think we should kick this back to the committee and set up a meeting with the city of Evelyn for the athletic committee.
Which
And
one?
Building and Grounds Committee, yes.
So you do want the city here?
Yes. We should set up a negotiations meeting with them.
Who would you like there to be there from us?
Who's on the athletic committee? I'm sorry, Building and Grounds Committee is a meeting,
Committee
it's
as
a
a whole.
committee of the whole, it's everyone, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm getting the wrong ones in there. But we do have to set up an athletic meeting too.
Okay.
Okay?
Just a comment on another sheet of paper we haven't talked about, the Joint Power Recreation Program participants, the numbers. I went through and rearranged the figures that I had gotten from Mr. Homeland, and you can see over the course of all the programs that the Joint Powers Rec Board sponsors, there's over 600 participants in the last 12-month cycle. Flag football had 42 participants, volleyball 43, baseball, softball, the biggest grouping, over 214 students. And these are grades up through, participants up through when the high school starts sponsoring these programs. Basically, it's at the JV level. Some of the basketball happens at junior high level. But tennis had 57 participants, figure skating 15, basketball 102, but you can see that only goes up through the 6th grade. And then the school takes over from the 7th on up. Hockey had 138 participants. Again, there, the cutoff is 13 and 14-year-olds, basically 9th graders.
But there again, this really doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about.
Not with the HIP
Simply
lease, but during our
because it doesn't matter,
discussion,
because not all these kids go to school in Evelyn Gilbert,
the
and
vast majority do. But our discussion of the proposed budget for the rec board, question was asked, how many participants? That's the
I
reason that's coming
misunderstood. I
back.
thought it was related to the home.
It's not related to the HIP.
He was just
My apologies.
pointing out that
Let's
this
move-
was an enclosure with that discussion.
Yeah,
I get it.
okay. This should go for athletics also. Okay, moving on. 10.9, we have to set a closed session to discuss negotiation strategies. Need a motion to go to closed session.
Also move.
Support? Any discussion? I did. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.10 is the Mesabi East agreement.
This will allow us to share counselor time. It was reduced this year, this spring, if you remember. And we'll share with them for that time.
May I ask a question?
Mhm.
Quick? I just seen this today for the first time, or I remember seeing it today first time, and I was looking for a dollar figure in here. I mean, the only thing I seen was a percentage of their number, what they come up with. Do we have a hard number in this, or no?
Yeah, it's going to be $42,000.
But it's not in this contract, right?
Right.
Our share is that?
Our share would, our 50% share, if we decide there could be a 50% or a 30, is it 30%? They'd be willing to go either way. What the difference would be is whether it's 2 days a week or 2.5 days a week.
Oh, so you're saying our level of renting their time could be variable between
Yes.
30 and 50%? Oh. I just seen the 50% in here.
Can I ask a question on the front page, under recital C? Is that a typo? It says Mesabi East desires and agrees to provide the needed finance officer services to Evelyn Gilbert. Is that just a misprint?
Yeah, Mr. Klossma. You are correct.
Okay, that should be a guidance counselor, right?
Right.
And it could be anywhere between 42,000.
We're going to start out, we're going to start out at 50%.
Okay.
But as the year, we'll evaluate it as the year goes on.
And it could go down as low as 32%, you said? Okay. What is your pleasure? And we need this before school starts.
Yeah.
Correct.
Be nice to get on board with, we have a new principal coming over there and
Mhm.
get him going.
Well, I'll make a motion to move this along, that we go into this professional services agreement with Mesabi East, not to exclude 42,000 and possibly reducing that down as the year goes on. For part-time services for guidance counselor.
I'll support that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Superintendent's report.
I have a few things in front of you. First thing I'll talk about is enrollment. As of right now, as we sit, we have 15 kids that have enrolled. New, we have 7 that have moved out of the area, and I mean moved out of the area, different states. And we have 60 kids that went out in graduation. Our kindergarten class currently sits at 60, so it's a wash in and out. So we're currently sitting at 1,001 right now. That's obviously there's 3 weeks for that to change, but.
Just a notable mention, if I may. I mean, that's considerably higher than we thought, right? Sitting.
We planned at 973, so.
Right. Just wanted to point that out.
Good.
Last Friday, I met with regional superintendents, and we were given a presentation by the Landon Foundation. They're interested in finding communities. Communities to them are any groups of people that have some innovative ideas for new broadband ideas, and some of us locally here, superintendents, we're going to put together a grant to get Wi-Fi on some of our rural routes, just to give it a try. For the grant that they're awarding is for up to $65,000, and we think that between the 4 districts we could put Wi-Fi on 4 of our rural routes if it's granted. I'm just telling you, that's on the buses.
What was that? Just so kids can
Kids can do their homework on the way home.
That's the intention, right?
Yep. Not Pokemon Go. Staffing, 5 of the aforementioned 15 new students happen to be in the 5th grade, which is one of the classes that we reduced last spring, and we're going to have to watch that number relatively closely. Andrea and I are working with our Title I coordinator to see if we can access some Title II dollars to split that class. Those numbers are growing. It's always, not that I like new kids, but it always seems to be in that class that just can't quit handle it. But we'll deal with that. It's a good problem to have. I had talked previously about industrial arts, and George Harrigan came knocking on my door today, saying that he would really hate to see the program go, and if we can rearrange the schedule so that we can get it all on the first semester, he's willing to come in again. So I'm very grateful for that offer, as we had no other options at the moment. But it's going to take some schedule mastery tomorrow by the 2 people on my left. Hopefully get that worked out and get George on board.
Will that be just for the, basically because he's only going to come on part-time, will that just cover our junior high? Will we have to throttle back some of our high school still, though?
Yep. All right, so that works out. The only thing that I would have open is the .2 elementary music that I spoke of earlier. We thought we had a lead sharing one in Virginia, but that fell through. She didn't have the time to do it, so we're still working on that. But other than that, I think we're staffed right now with everybody else. Facilities plan update. Andrea and I met with URI and Northland Securities today to discuss the financial aspects of our options that we currently have on the table. We're all assigned duties. We've been working on various aspects of operational costs, construction costs, and the tax impact. So Bill is going to come back to us at the next board meeting with tax impact on these. The numbers that you were presented at the last meeting are going to go up a little bit because they did not include any field work at that time, and that's obviously a significant issue here. So those numbers will go up, but you'll get to see those.
Jeff, can I ask you?
Yeah.
What do they mean by field work?
Football field, baseball field,
Okay.
softball field.
I just want to clarify.
Will those be itemized, or will they just be part of the whole, do you think? Or do we not know really how they're going to bundle them together yet?
They'll come back to you at the next meeting as one big number, but you'll be able to see them broken out as to how much those cost. So I guess the last thing on that is, I know there was mention at the last meeting of wanting to see all this in a committee meeting rather than a board meeting. If that's the case, it makes no difference to me. You guys can decide.
I would like to see it in the committee meeting, because it's a committee meeting of the whole, on building and grounds and all this. We need to have everybody here.
I mean, I asked the
Possible.
question just because that's kind of what we discussed at the beginning of the year. That's why we made buildings
Yeah.
and grounds a committee of the whole.
Yeah.
And at the very least, I know there was conversation to share the information with the public, so that's why we were talking about recording or whatever, just those meetings. But I mean, the conversation, to my knowledge, didn't really go anywhere other than that. So that's why I asked. I don't know where it needs to go or if it needs to go. I mean, I just.
If you guys want a committee, like I said, we'll be ready either way.
I think it should be, it's actually a place where we can actually concentrate just on that, instead of trying to hurry up and get to something else. I'd rather have everybody focused on that only.
Because my point to the public is this is just conversation. This is
Yeah.
nothing that we've done yet. Or I
No.
mean, some of these options look crazy, but we still
Yeah.
got to walk down.
We still got to walk down.
I mean, I hear all these things all the time that you're talking about that. I'm like, well, we're talking about everything. We're just talking. I mean,
Everything's on, everything's on the table. It hasn't been decided.
And I understand the public needs to be informed, but I think just maybe the perception of them being in a committee might be
Yeah.
different. You know.
Well, public's invited to meetings too.
Well, the committee can only make a recommendation, or
Yeah.
they can't pass it.
We can't pass
Still has to
anything.
come up to the board
Sure.
for any
And
final
we still make the
action on it.
presentation, or have them make the
Whatever they come up
presentation
with.
at the board meeting.
Myself, I'd prefer that the initial presentation be at a board meeting 2 weeks from now, and that we follow that up with a committee meeting if need be, or committee meetings. But I would like to see, as we have been going through the process, all of their presentations have been at a regular board meeting. Public knows every 2 weeks, or for second and fourth Mondays, or the fourth Monday, the second meeting of the month is when they were going to be, or have been here making their presentation. And I would prefer to stay on that schedule and then go to committee meetings as need be.
That's why I'm asking.
Was there any time during this process where we have some sort of like community input meetings on such a thing? Because I'd like to actually hear what they have to say instead of have it blurted out at a meeting or out in public. Maybe give them a chance to voice their opinions on the different options.
Should be aware of where we're going.
I think once the information from this
Once
next
it's-
one is out, I think we would be, at that point, we'd
At
be
that
prepared
point.
to go
Okay,
out.
we'll do something like that. Just want to see that everyone gets a fair chance to discuss. That way we can discuss it openly with everybody instead of, because I know at the meetings we want everyone to just kind of keep it civil and.
Well, then after listening to Mark, we could have it at the regular meeting, and then afterwards, like he suggested, having a committee meeting where people want to come and listen, they can come and listen. Then we will be having community meetings afterwards.
Well, I think doesn't that, I mean, part of this process is once you get to the final countdown per se, I mean, kind of what Mount Iron did. I mean, they got community input at the beginning of it. They went through this long, arduous process, and then towards the end, I think it was coming down to options. You know, the final two directions. I think that's when the public was invited to put input in again, maybe, and then. I mean, we're still kind of premature for public input through this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff.
Yeah, I would, like I was just saying, I think after this next piece is out, I mean, the
Okay.
information will be on the table.
And then we can have meetings after that, committees. Okay.
And we're likely going to have several committee
Oh,
meetings.
yeah. we'll-
I mean, not just one.
There will be several
So
meetings.
I'd
So we're
like,
gonna leave it the way it is?
Yeah.
that's my preference.
Okay. Alright. Facilities update. They did a quick patch this winter to get through with the steam line going up to the Franklin. That was actually replaced. They finished her up last week, and work on the sidewalk replacement is, it's all formed up and ready to go. If it would stop raining once in a while, we might be able to get that poured. But that's all done. All the carpet replacements that we talked about are done. We did remove the floor in that science wing of the Gilbert campus that had the mold problem. You'll notice down the hall here, that's the only other major project we had this summer. We're replacing the floor in that commons area. And after they pulled the floor up, there was asbestos down there, and they pulled that up. And after they pulled that up, there was there was some red glue that nobody had seen before that also has asbestos in it, so they're back in there taking that out now. But we should be all done before school starts.
Good.
Early childhood, we have 42 kids currently enrolled in school readiness 4s and 5s. Hopefully that number is going to increase a little bit, but that's 2 sections as of right now, actually a little thick on 2 sections. We do have 21 kids in the SR3s, and that's up from last year. We capped it at 15, because that's what the state recommends. So that is potentially 2 sections. We'll got to monitor those numbers. We're going to have to do some staffing here soon. I have advertised for early childhood teachers. We had a few of them quit over the summer. So that starts up the end of September, so we got a little bit of time left on that one. A couple announcements. I know that all of our principals are in place. Check our Twitter and Facebook. We'll be getting updates as we get closer to school. The newsletter will be out next week along with the information packet that goes out to students. As far as where they're going to be and bus routes and that kind of thing. Staff's been working on that, so that'll go out soon. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Board member topics. I'm going to start with Mike.
I was going to say, can I start off?
Yes.
I was just approached before the meeting about a post that I've had on Facebook trying to garner public interest in joining the board because board candidacies are open, and a couple people apparently feel like I was insulting my current members, and I would just like to publicly apologize, and that wasn't my intention. My intention was my point of view. I used language saying that we need to get outside. We need people to get outside the stale, closed-minded ranger mindset, and apparently a couple of my fellow board members got insulted, and like I explained to Keith before the meeting, it was not directed towards Keith or anybody that participates in the public forums like the boards or city council. It's because I viewed that statement as that's all we do is fight the public in a 50-year-old mentality, and that we need to be progressive and go forward. And like I told Keith, I respected him because he's been here for 20-some years, and I mean, mostly because probably not anybody showed interest to join the board. I mean, and like I told Keith, I said I respect him because for 20 years he's been fighting this, 100-year-old culture up here, trying to keep our school going forward. And I just wanted to take a second to say I apologize if anybody felt insulted by those remarks, and I wanted you to know that it had nothing to do with anybody on the board. I felt as a team we are fighting that public persona, for lack of a better way to say it, that we can't. It's always, every time you hear in the public, it's, well, we have done this for 50 years, or we've been like that for 100 years. And that was kind of where those comments were coming from. And like I said, I just wanted to apologize. And it was, I hope nobody takes it personally. I mean, everybody on this board and anybody in any public office, I respect for putting themselves forward and trying to fight our local culture sometime. And I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Well, I'd like to comment on that. I mean, I filed last week to run again for a board member.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Tom.
And I felt it's very derogatory towards myself and other board members, and I would like to have you explain a few things on your comments and on how you come out to this. You say for the younger generation to get involved, I agree with that, but at what age group do you consider the younger generation turns to the older generation?
Are you asking a question?
Oh, That's one of the questions, though.
Oh, I just like to say, like I said, it wasn't personal, and if you can't take that for what it is, Tom,
Well,
we have nothing more to discuss. I'm sorry.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
I thanked you for your service, and I mean, if you wanna,
I would like to bring this attention too,
everybody
To
on
our-
Facebook can see what I post,
to
so
our
I mean,
ethics policies. Michael,
you should not start
Under-
walking down that road, Tom.
under C, to maintain relations with other members of the school board, I will. Item number 3, make no disparaging remarks in or out of school board meetings about other members of the school board or their opinions. I take this as being directly coming in and said that old timers should not be running on the board. And there's other comments in here, Michael, I'd like to have you explain.
I think he explained it pretty good, Tom. He already
Well-
went through that.
What,
Yeah,
to
well,
think
just let 'em
outside
go,
our
Keith, I
state
guess.
closed rangers mindsets, what is that? We're old ranger mindsets, what does that mean? I mean, this went out on Facebook.
Absolutely.
I mean, the public looking at this and comes back, well, how are we running this operation? I'm not into politics. If I was gonna go into politics, I would've went for state representative. I'm in here for the educational part of it, which I think I've done. And I've got on my own and try to bring back, I see Mr. Harrigan is coming back, I'm very happy about that, to keep that program going. And I tried to expand that program, if you recall. And I did that at my own expense. Without representing the board, I did it solely on my own. With support of the governor, I had support of labor unions behind it. I had support of the community behind it. I think before you start putting things out on Facebook, and think outside of our still closed ranger mindsets. What does that mean?
I just addressed that. Thank you, Tom.
Well, all right. That's old timers, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Mark and Keith and myself, and I guess Mona, you're going to be considered an old timer pretty quick too, I'm sure, huh?
Thank
You're
you.
you're not 21 years old anymore either, you know. But
Tom, I'm sorry.
I
I'm
accept
sorry
your apology
to
on it.
understand
All right, but
anything I said.
I just would like to make this point that this does not happen again.
Aren't you the one that said
Okay.
that this is a free country, Tom?
It is a free country.
Let's
But
move on, brother.
Going back to the remarks, keep your remarks, your opinions here, that's fine. I have my opinion too, Michael.
I just
But,
explained
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I apologize if you took it personally,
Let's move on.
and
Please.
it is what it is,
I'm
Tom.
done,
Let's
okay.
move on. Mona, the youngest person on the board. Yes, you are.
It's getting so deep in here. This
Yes, it is.
so unfair.
Let's just move on.
Thank you. It's not going to get any better. I just have one question. Do we have a contract for our IT assistant? Okay.
That's one of the things tonight.
I talked to the chair last week and he said he wanted to discuss that with the rest of the board.
Okay.
At the closed session.
That's fine. Thank you.
Mark?
Nothing?
Leon?
Nothing.
Mark?
I can't top any of this, so nothing.
I don't have anything either. We are going to take a quick break and we will go into closed session. After the closed session, we'll come back out and adjourn. Thank you.